Okay, this is the next clip that we have. It's not the best example of really good motion. We're a little out of sorts here. Timing's a little bit off. The screens that are set aren't necessarily great, but this is a good example of all it takes is one good read. One good read in motion, one good screen is going to lead to a wide open shot. So what we have here is, again, we're a little out of sorts, but what Sawyer, number 3, is going to do on his read right here is he's going to set a down screen for Chris. Here's another read that we haven't talked about too much in these few clips that we've gone over, is a slip. So what he's reading is his 2 defenders, number 3 and number 4 here in white, and they're both going to be on top of him. 4 is going to stay up. Maybe they're getting ready to switch, or maybe he's just going to help for a second and try to get back to his guy. Either way, both of them are up on the screen. They're going to be above the screen. Sawyer's going to see that, and he's going to go ahead and slip to the hoop. And because there's a lack of communication, they don't know who's going with who, we're going to end up with 2 guys going with 1, and that's what happens here. So Sawyer goes ahead and slips it, which was the right read, and it's going to force 3 to take maybe 1 or 2 more steps than he would have liked to help, so that Sawyer couldn't get a wide open layup. Chris makes the right read. The second cut's going to be up here. And again, something as simple as that 1 or 2 extra steps is going to allow Chris that extra time to go ahead and extra time and space to go ahead and knock this shot down. Doesn't seem like much, but something like that, as simple as that, is going to give a shooter that allotted time to go ahead and get that shot off. So we're going to go ahead and run this again. Sawyer's going to read it. Both these guys are up, slip. 3 takes 1 or 2 extra steps. Chris has the space, catch, feeder set, and lets it fly. Coming down, going to try to get set up in motion right away here. Again, a little out of sorts to start, but now we're in our motion spots and we can get going. First screen here, it's a good read. We have our defender in dark blue trying to go over the top. Tim's going to go ahead and curl that, which is the right read. It's going to make this help defender stay here for a second so that Tim can't just get an easy layup. Sawyer's going to second cut. And honestly, he could have probably should have shot this. He's a good shooter. He's got his feet set. There's a lot of space there. A lot of space to go ahead and let that thing fly. And that's a good shot in motion where you're forcing the help because of a good screen and a good read. He chooses not to let this one fly, which is okay. We're going to get back into motion here, reset ourselves. And here's the second screen back on this side. Tim's going to go ahead and set a flare here for Sawyer. He's coming off. The flare sets his feet. Not a lot of help coming here from the help defender. He kind of dies on the screen, which happens occasionally with guys, especially when you're setting good hard screens. And again, we have some space here to go ahead and let that thing fly. And the second time around, he goes ahead and he knocks it down. I apologize on this clip, and I think we have one more for the technical difficulties that we had, where people are sort of disappearing right around here. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and play this clip. This is another good example of a slip, which Sawyer did before, and he was probably the best on our team at reading this. He sees that both defenders are going to be above where he's setting the screen. Maybe their eyes are on the guy coming off, and he's going to go ahead and slip. So it's an easy read. His defender is above him. This guy's going with. There's not a lot of communication going on here. Sawyer's just going to go ahead and slip to the hoop, and this time we're able to hit him for an easy layup. Tim sees the same thing that Sawyer sees. Everybody's on the same page. We get a slip. We get an easy layup because of it. Good read, good pass, and again, it's as simple as that sometimes. Hopefully this next clip goes ahead and plays. Sometimes we do experience, all right, there we go. So again, right off the bat here, you see a good read, good curl. His guy's trailing him, so he's going to go ahead and tight curl this, try to get a rub on 3. Maybe we get a little extra space here for our second cut, which they do a pretty good job of handling this, but they get around it. And now what we're going to see is another really good pin. It's going to happen off the screen here, which is a little disappointing. Camera wasn't able to get over and cover the whole court, but you can still see where the read happens. So Sawyer who came off that tight curl in the beginning of the clip, he's now coming, he's going to be ready to come off a down screen here. So Tim's going to go ahead and set this screen right around here. His defender, yet again, right, he's going to try to come over top of this screen. He's going to try to beat Sawyer to the spot, expecting him to either curl or just straight cut off of this and try to beat him to the spot. And because he does that, Tim resets his angle, ends up screening two guys in, and Chris is going to see this. So Sawyer pins back. He's going to pin right behind this screen. Instead of coming off to where his defender is, stays right here, which provides him all the time in the world to go ahead and let this thing fly. Feeder set, good pass, and we knock it down. So just going back to the beginning again, we get a good read here. That's a good curl. And then guys trying to beat him to the spot, just stop where you are, pin it back. Chris makes a good pass, good read. Tim resets his angle, and we get a wide open three for a good shooter. Next clip here, the first screen we have, again, is going to be that pin read, going over top, beating to the spot, pin it back. Don't necessarily get the shot there, but because you make the right read the first time, quick second cut. Tim had it going pretty good early in this game, so this isn't a bad shot. We get a pin, quick second cut, feeder set, just that amount of space, especially for a good shooter, somebody who's hit a couple early. That's all it takes in motion. You make one good read, we get a little extra help, or maybe you fall asleep on the second cut, on time and on target pass, feeder set, knock it down. Here's going to be a good example of coming off a flare and one of the other reads that you might have from it. So we've seen that sometimes when you come off the flare, they try to go under and beat you to the spot, and maybe you pin that back, or maybe you're able to just get the catch and let it fly. Here, we're going to have our defender actually go over, and there's not going to be any help coming from the guy defending the screener. So what Alec here does, he's going to get the catch, and he's just going to go ahead right to the hoop because there's no help. And it's wide open, and because his guy went over the screen, he's able to get that, and he has the angle going to the hoop. One of the other reads that you can have here when somebody goes over is you can just go ahead and flare curl this. So come off the flare, and before you catch it, just go ahead and curl right to the hoop. In this situation, Tim already saw him coming off. He came off kind of early, which is fine. He gets the catch, and as soon as he catches, he can rip and go. And that's a definite read that you have sometimes coming off the flare. So he goes over the top, gets the catch, nobody's there to help on the drive, and it's an easy 2 points. Here's our read again. First read that we have on this first down screen probably should have been a curl. We have our defender going over the top here, trailing gunner number 33, and he probably should have gone ahead and tight curled this. He probably would have drew some help from two because his guy's going over the top, but he decides to pop or pin it back, which is okay, which is fine. We're going to go back to the other side of the floor here now. And Seth's going to go ahead and set a back screen at the top here for Tim. And we've talked before about how Tim draws a lot of attention. And in this situation, Seth sets a really good screen. And Tim's going to draw two defenders here because they're worried about what he's doing. Since Seth sets that screen in the right spot at the right time, it's going to draw two guys. Seth's going to end up with a wide open look here. And then he's just going to go ahead and make the right basketball play. Extra pass, which is never a bad thing, to a good shooter who has his feet set, and he's going to knock it down. Again, we make one maybe improper read on this side, but with motion, all it takes is one good screen, one good read, which is what we've talked about, to get a wide open shot. So we have a good screen here, two go with one, extra pass, wide open shot. That's good basketball.